about it.
Are you doing the rugby coach at 7:30?
No, he's at 8.
At 8.
So we'll do Cowboys. What did I say we would do at 7:30? I changed it.
Big 12.
Yeah. And we can talk about other NFL stuff we have to. Good morning and welcome to the Hodge Pack Sports Life and everything in between. We're glad that you're with us this morning as we are brought to you by Live Land and Cattle. Hope everybody's having a great day as we're getting close to the end of summer, school starting, Texas high school football 2-day starting this coming Monday. And so we're glad that you're with us this Friday morning as we are hanging out in the Potosi Live studio. We are glad you're with us. Josh and Hodge are here. Misty will join us a little bit later on. We've got another jam-packed show. So much to talk about with football starting in the high school world. Training camps have started out in Oxnard and all across the NFL. Injuries have started. Running backs have been signed. I am so thankful that we helped Saquon get this deal here at the Hodge Pack. There's no official documentation that we did that, but I've got a feeling we are there. So a lot of stuff to talk about this morning. We're glad that you're with us on whether it's you're listening in the car. We're just glad that you're trucking along with us. And so, Josh, you got a little vacation this past week, and we appreciate you coming in on your. Are you still on vacation?
I'm still on vacation.
I figured you were. I'm not saying. Well, you talked about click it or ticket last week on your shirt. I didn't think that was the shirt you were talking about.
No, you don't usually wear shorts to work.
Well, maybe you won a prize or something. It'd be good today. And, I know there's certain banks that go casual during the year.
real casual.
Yeah, casual Friday. I think that's the kind of bank that people walk in and say, you know what? I feel like I got a chance to go alone here.
Yeah, or say what are these idiots doing? And turn around and walk out.
Yeah, it's a gamble, but we are both in shorts, and we'll see what Misty Kim's wearing. Remember when we used to say she's not wearing pants? Oh, that was funny stuff. But anyway, Misty will be with us a little bit later. We've got, again, a fun show this morning at 8 o'clock, our Big Country Electric My Town segment. Not only is football starting, but rugby. That's right, rugby is starting soon here in the Big Country. We will have Kevin Phillipson joining us at 8 o'clock to talk about rugby and how you can get involved and play some rugby as well.
I probably don't need to play rugby.
Well, I don't know. You might. I mean,
I feel like I would, 5 minutes in, I'd have some sort of major injury.
But don't you think it's one of those sports that when people look at now, sometimes you'll see it on ESPN, one of the ESPNs or a Fox or something like that or just a different channel that you'll see the Ocho. You'll see rugby, and rugby is just one of those sports that I'm not calling it like cricket, but you watch it. It's real like when I watch hockey. I see it. I know there's a puck involved, but I really don't understand the rules.
Right.
Like icing. Okay, what does that mean in hockey? Okay, is that like offsides? I don't know. Anyway, but Kevin will join us at 8 o'clock. We've got Misty's bag, knowing half the battle. We've got all that stuff for you today. So let's dive into our Lawrence Hall headline report. We'll start with some NFL news, and we'll end it with me being able to take advantage of hosting the show and getting to talk a little golf because of last week. A lot of NFL news, Josh, as again we mentioned, training camps have started. We talked about how the running back situation. We talked about it with Jason Fitz last week, and there was a Zoom call with a bunch of running backs, and Saquon Barkley got him a deal. He is officially signed. He signed him an $11 million deal, $2 million signing bonus. He's got some incentives involved in there, but Saquon is signed. Now, that doesn't mean they can't franchise tag him again next year, but he's at least got some guaranteed money, and now it will look and see, because he's a little different in that he had a team, and now I'm sure Josh Jacob is saying, okay, what are y'all going to do for me? Because we paid Daniel Jones because he's a quarterback, and you got to pay him. But really, the best player on that Giants team is Saquon.
I agree.
And really, now, is Josh Jacobs the best player on his team right now? I don't know. Probably Devontae Adams is. But now Josh Jacobs is sitting there, okay, what do I do? And so, but Saquon gets his deal, and there was talk about, again, the CBA and all that. It's not going to change. But at least Saquon got his deal.
No, he did, and this is one of those things that I think the the optics challenge that some of these people face is difficult because I don't know I don't know at what point it became to where if you play in the NFL and you feel like you're valued at a certain level that you should just get not just like life changing money because all of them are making life changing money, but just like this notion that look, the franchise tag for running back is $10 million. Is that what it is?
Right.
So you're gonna make $10 million in 1 year, and you're gonna say, "Well, I need more guaranteed." Like that, I I have a very hard time really getting behind anybody when they're struggling about multi-million-dollar 1 year contracts.
Well, and in that, again, $10 million to the majority of people in the world is a ton of money. But when you start looking at if people really wanted to, if owners really wanted to, they could say, you know what, we're doing you honestly a favor, giving you 10 million because we can go get the guy. Now, are they going to be as good as you, Saquon? Probably not. But can we get?
No, but if they can get,
But can we get two of you at 5 million or whatever that, or 750,000, whatever that minimum is? Can we get that? And so he's fortunate enough to get the 10 million. And here's the deal, Saquon: have another great year. But the other problem is you have the biggest part of that statement is another year, which means you
I know,
turn 1 year older.
I know, and they want that guaranteed. But my point on the whole thing is like, where was it, sent down from heaven that as a football player you should be able to retire at 30 and never work again for the rest of your life? I mean, like, no normal human gets to do that. I mean, they're in the top like 0.00% of people as far as like, and they have that God gifted talent to get to that point. So I know that there's a very slim market at that high of a level of athletics. But why do professional athletes nowadays think that they just need to retire at 30, 35 and never work again? I mean, like, a lot of people make career changes and do different things and work till they're 60, 65, 70, whatever you have to do to make ends meet. So why do they think they never have to have a job again?
And I think a lot of it is because that is their gift, or that is their skill, that is their
yeah, but they went to college for free.
right. Well, what I'm saying is the majority of the NFL, you can look at the career-long guys that make a life out of it and make a long career out of it. But in the real scheme of it, the average life expectancy of a NFL player is only like 3 to 4 years. And I'm sure for the running back, that is getting shrunk.
Well, and it is. But I mean, my point is just this. If you have that average career of 3 years and you make league minimum of $750,000 for 3 years, you're not going to be able to not do anything else for the rest of your life. But you got a much better start than most 27-year-olds.
Right.
And you're still a hometown hero wherever you came from. I mean, you should be able to pick up a job somewhere.
Right.
So
Saquon got signed. Dalvin Cook is going to visit with the Jets, who just had a quarterback take a pay cut. Aaron Rodgers signs restructures his contract, takes a pay cut. Other football news, again, Dolphins cornerback Jalen Ramsey is going to have meniscus surgery. Will be expected to miss the season, and everybody in Cincinnati in the Bengals world held their breath a little bit as Joe Burrow had a non-contact injury. They're still saying it's only a calf strain, but when you first see those things, your first thought is the Achilles, but they're saying that it is a calf injury, and so we'll be looking at that because I'm sure the Cincinnati folks are worried as well. Again, want to talk about the 3M. British Open, or the Open last week. We'll talk about Brian Harman in a minute, but the 3M Open happening in Minnesota. A lot of guys have made the jump back across the pond here to the U.S. and Minnesota. Leading that is Lee Hodges, no related to me, at 8 under. Hideki Matsuyama at 7 under. And Rance Snedeker, who's had some injuries coming back, is 7 under. And Billy Borschel, former guest of the show, is at 5 under. But I want to talk about the Open real quick as part of our Lawrence Hall headline report. Brian Harman, the little bitty guy, wins it last week, 13 under, 6-stroke lead. victory as he wins the 151st Open. He said a couple of things that he said that he loved about the fan base. And he goes, man, they really didn't want me to win. Rory was in contention. He said one of the things that he heard from the crowd was, Brian Harman, you don't have the stones for this. And he said he found some motivation in finding his stones. But it was a lot of fun. And he had opportunities to crumble. He had opportunities to fade away. And he never did. And so Brian Harman, your 151st champion golfer of the year, winning his first major, catapulted himself up from outside at 20 in the Ryder Cup rankings to now up to like 3. So there's a real good chance he's going to be in the Ryder Cup. Rory, again, falls away and doesn't win his next major. Cameron Young, that was in that final group, never got anything going and came up short. And so Brian Harman is your champion golfer of the year. So congratulations to Brian Harman and the Open champion golfer. Did you watch any of it, Josh?
No.
That's okay. Maybe next time. Maybe next year.
Probably not.
We'll see. All right. Hey, a lot to cover. We're going back to the movies, Misty's bag. And when we come back, the trade deadline is Tuesday, August 1st. And the Texas Rangers escaped Houston. They had a couple of problems, but when it was all said and done, they are still heading out to San Diego in first place. We'll talk about the Texas Rangers. We'll talk about the great day that Shohei had. And does it hurt Texas Rangers? Are we cheering for the Angels so they'll be just good enough to keep Shohei out there on the West Coast and not be a problem for us? We'll see. So when we come back, we'll dive into our Texas Rangers report. But again, that is our Lawrence Hall headline report for today. We appreciate Lawrence Hall, all that they do. Go out and get you a new car, truck, or SUV. They'll get you taken care of. We appreciate Lawrence Hall and all that they do, not only for the Hodge Pack, but the community of the big country. When we come back, the Texas Rangers still in first place and heading out west. All right. 7-2 on the homestand. 2 of 3 to the Stros. How they won. Oh, I got it. Okay. Yeah. How was Renosa?
That's good.
Did you go to the racetrack? Did you win anything on the ponies?
I don't really know. They were. I didn't think I wanted money. They don't bet a lot, but I did. Out of 12 races, I picked 5 winners. So
5 out of 12.
yeah.
Also going to talk about how big the what was the score on the last game that they won? How big it was to leave Houston in that fashion.
Yeah, that was an exciting game.
And especially with the chirping.
Are you coming back with that clip?
I've changed it to where at the end where it says there's 3 outs. Well, there's 2 outs, we don't need the 3rd out. When the 3rd out happens, that's when.
Yeah.
And there's a play at the plate. He's safe. And he's clearly out.
Yeah.
They lose their mind. I thought that was just fitting for the way the replay stuff has gone for the Rangers.
It's really crazy.
You know, the thing with me is with the NFL, very rarely do you see a obvious call get flipped either way.
Yeah.
They normally get it right in the NFL. It seems like they do not do so.
I don't understand it. Like, you go to replay on stuff, and it's like, what's the point of it if you're not going to get it right, even in replay?
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack Sports Live and everything in between. As you hear, as we come back from break, one of the most famous scenes of all time, I'm not sure if it's a real sports movie, of Naked Gun, where they're trying to not get the third out because of what Reggie Jackson wants to do to the Queen. And I bring that up, Josh, as it's time for our Texas Ranger report and our weekly report of looking at Major League Baseball. The Astros and the Rangers had a series. Again, Rangers, when we left, they went 7-2 on their homestand. And as we're watching, I've now decided, Josh, you make fun of me for being distracted. We cannot.
You can't have the TV on.
We cannot have
I
a
already
TV
told
on.
you
Yeah. Here you go, folks. The umpires arguing with each other. Forget the teams. But anyway, so Josh, Texas Rangers again. 7-2 in the homestand, and then headed out to Houston and lost 2-3. But the last game they did win in good fashion, taking care of business. But in all that, the last game was pretty big. We saw the reason I brought up the Naked Gun thing was, and I really don't know where we want to start on this whole Texas Rangers thing is. First of all, we leave Houston and head to San Diego still in first place. That's to me the most important thing.
Right.
Number two, it seems like that the replay official or officials in New York that watch the replays for the Rangers either have money on them to lose or something, because we never get a call to seem to go our way. But let's look at the Houston Astros series. You lose 2-3, but you win in a big fashion, 13-5. Coming from behind, a lot of fireworks in there, and head to San Diego, still in first place.
Well, yeah, and it was a very it was a very high stress series, which obviously blew up in Game 3 with the benches clearing and all of that over what seemed to be an intentional beating of the batter by the Astros after their best player just off the injured list, Andrew Heaney, hit him in a much different situation, where he was up in the count after giving up a home run. There was no intent in what he did, but then to come back and hit Marcus Semien in the following inning on the first pitch of an at bat with a pitcher that had not had any sort of control issues, it does. Obviously, the Rangers thought it was on purpose, but those first two games, just to speak to the out safe calls at home, the Rangers lost the first two games by 1 run apiece, and both games had very controversial plays at the plate that were sent for replay, and they both went against the Rangers, and that's one of those things that and they were both very close, and I get that. Um, to me, in the first game, it clearly looked like I believe it was Kyle Tucker sliding into home that his foot was above the plate when he was tagged, not touching the plate. And then the Marcus Simeon one was close, and I saw some angles that made it look like maybe he was out. But the what we always see, and you brought it up in the break in football, it seems that they get these calls right, or there's a lot of you know, just leave it the way it was called on the field because it's really too close to overturn.
Well, they really believe indisputable evidence.
Right.
And I remember the one with Jonah Heim not long ago at the ballpark that it looked obvious and they got it wrong.
Right. Right. And there's just been several, and it's funny that they seem to keep going bad for the Rangers on replay. It is what it is at the end of the day.
To me, what's crazy is how many of them go from safe to out or out to safe, and you're looking at, and again in football,
that indisputable video,
there's got to be
appear to be there.
And if there's not, we've got to live with our call, even if it looks a little bit maybe, but if it's not indisputable, then we don't.
Yeah, you just stay with the call on the field. And it seems like in baseball they are much more willing to take that minor chance that the call needs to be flipped and flip it, and it's
the frustrating part with me, and I am all for replay. Now, I am glad that in the NFL they got away from can we review it if it was pass interference. They've gone away from reviewing that. In the NBA, they can review and say, was it a charge? Was it a foul? Was he inside the circle or not? The thing about replay, I'm all for it. But the reason it was put into any sport, whether it's the Wimbledon, tennis, the only thing they don't have replay in is golf. Now, they may go back and look and see where a ball went out and where to place it, or go back to the TV cameras. All right, that ball hit here. We've got to put it back here. But replay was designed to get the call right. And when you still have it and you watch it over and over again and you don't get the call right, that's a problem. Because when 6 billion people are watching the Ranger game, I don't know if those 7 people were watching it.
Everyone on the planet.
Everyone on the planet's watching it and sees that a guy is out, not safe, and you in your 2 eyes, and maybe you have glasses and it's 4 eyes, watching a screen in New York, see that he's safe or makes the decision that he's safe, that's a problem.
It is a problem. But at the end of the day, like I was saying, it was a hard-fought series against a rival where that rivalry has heated up to the point of these two teams do not like each other. I don't know of many people that like the Astros other than the bandwagon fans that jumped on, and so they're universally disliked by the fans of every other Major League Baseball team. So that's I guess there's some solace in that. But you lose the first 2 games by a run each in very close, hard-fought games. And then you come back and put a statement on when it was their ace on the mound. So all in all, I'd say that you leave with momentum and you leave knowing. And this is what my takeaway is. With the Dodger series, that is a potential World Series type matchup. The Dodgers, the Astros, definitely a potential playoff type matchup. So if you're looking ahead to that, you see that even though they were 1 and 2 in both of those series, you're not out of that ballpark. You're not on a different level, because as the Dodger series had a close game, got beat pretty bad, and then won pretty good. And so
it's similar. If you recall, Clemson did not just start winning national championships. They gradually kept getting better with Hodge Boyd, and they kept CJ Spiller, and they kept getting a little bit better, and then now they belong. Well, to me, that's what the Rangers are doing now.
Right.
Is throughout this season, they're showing that they belong in the talks of top 5 power teams, power ranking teams of all of Major League Baseball. And I think this weekend, as we see, you mentioned, you win the last game, you leave on a good note, and you head to San Diego. The Astros, you've got to take care of business on the West Coast, but now you've got the Astros having the Rays coming to town who've kind of hit the little bit of a skid and have switched spots with Baltimore. Now you hope Tampa Bay helps us out over the next 3 days in Houston, and I think that'll be big too. But we've got some time to talk now. One, and I mentioned in our notes, do we root for the Angels so Shohei stays put? Well, it looks like they've made the decision. They are not trading Shohei. They feel like they've got a chance to maybe still get into a wild card. And after what he did yesterday, you cannot trade. You cannot send the Texas Giant or whatever your favorite ride is at your amusement park that everybody wants to ride. You can't get rid of Epcot. You can't get rid of Space Mountain at Disney World. And that's what Shohei is. Yesterday, 2 games against the Tigers, goes out and throws a complete game shutout, and then decides to hit 2 home runs in the next one.
Yes, it is crazy, like what he's done, and really why everyone would want to trade for him, because if you get one player that impacts both sides of the ball like that, that is completely unheard of. But what the best case scenario, I think, if you're a fan of the Texas Rangers, if you're not a fan of the Anaheim, Los Angeles, whatever they call themselves now, A's or Angels, I think that scenario is playing out. They played just good enough to not trade Shohei Ohtani, even though they're still 7 games out. Their chances of a wild card are very slim because of the American League East, knowing that one of Tampa Bay or Baltimore is going to get a wild card. Most likely.
And then Boston and New York are battling.
And they're battling. And then most likely one of Texas.
And Toronto.
Yes. One of Texas and Houston is going to get a wild card, most likely. And so you're fighting for that last wild card spot with
a crowded room.
Yes,
very crowded room.
With Toronto being a good team that's finally kind of coming back into their own, and the Yankees are getting Aaron Judge back this weekend, so they should get a bounce.
So let's go back to the Rangers. Shohei's not moving. What do you anticipate Texas doing on August 1st?
Well, it's one of those things that the dominoes have started to fall. The Angels traded 2 of their top 4 prospects to get Lucas Giolito from the White Sox. So not only are they keeping Shohei, they're going all in for this year and depleting their farm system. And what I feel is going to be a flailing effort to try to get into the wild card. So that's good for us.
Which means if you don't get in the wild card, even though I think if you had to guess, the chance that you keep Shohei is going to be real small.
Yes.
If you do all this and you still don't get in, Shohei's out.
Shohei's gone for sure. If they make a push and maybe he's like, okay, we can win here and I'll stay. If that's what they're trying to do, I think that's why. But they have depleted their farm system to the point that when Shohei leaves, they're not going to have much left. And that's why I'm saying that's the best case scenario as a Rangers fan who does not like the Angels. So that's good for us. But several of those trade pieces, Lucas Giolito is one of those guys that there was talks that the Texans, the Rangers might be interested in him. He's obviously traded to the Angels. Daniel Robertson, who's been the closer for the Mets this year, just got traded to the Marlins. So there's dominoes starting to fall, and those people were, you were thinking, all right, the Rangers might be in on this, might be in on that. So as those dominoes fall, there's going to be less pieces available. So we'll have to see. It's going to be interesting because I love the trade season anyway. It's always it allows you to kind of gauge what everyone feels about their team and where they're at. And I feel like the Rangers, obviously, as we just talked about, with how they played recently out of the All-Star break, coming back and looking good, hanging in there, being tough competition for these potential playoff type teams, they got to do something.
You've got to add something to it,
yes.
Even though you're like, hey, I know we're winning and we're doing good now, and we love all you guys in the room, and hey, we love that you're in our farm system, and we love that you're here and all that. But I think you still have to show it's kind of the same, and I know we got to go to commercial, but is that as much as you don't want to show your fan base that you're throwing in the towel by trading everybody, when you see like the White Sox did it a couple years ago,
right.
They just started trading everybody, and everybody realized, well, they don't care anymore. Well, in the same token, if you don't make a couple of moves to better yourself, it almost looks the same thing
Yes.
for us in
Yeah.
that. Well, maybe you don't.
You can get not only your fans but your players behind. All right, our management believes in it. This is our year to make something happen because we've added reinforcements. So it's a big momentum build, and especially if you see, some division rivals start to add, and you're not, that can lead you to be, I guess, question where your management thinks you're going. So I do think the Rangers will do something. Um, it should be an interesting weekend as far as like seeing who gets traded because the trade season has started in full force. People are moving.
It'll be interesting. Will anybody have to stay and not get on the team plane back to San Diego because they get traded out on the West Coast? We'll see. But again,
there's several people that on San Diego's team that are rumored to be moving. So they're,
maybe they'll just trade key cards.
When they traded, I guess it was a few years ago. I can't remember who it was. Diekman, but that literally had to walk from one dugout to the other one because he just got traded to the other team.
And that may happen. And so, will the Rangers come back still in first place? And will the Tampa Bay Rays help us out and push the Astros farther back? When we come back, we'll be looking at the Big 12. At one point, they couldn't even have their name right because they only had 10. And now everybody wants to come to Texas. Well, it's not Texas, but they want to come to the Big 12. We'll talk more about that right after this. Zane just texted. And did you get the Oregon thing? Welcome back to the Hodge Pack Sports Live and everything in between. Come on over. And that's what it seems like everybody's trying to do. Come on over. They're leaving places. They're changing things up. And that's what's happening in the Big 12. Welcome back to the Hodge Pack. It's time, again, high school football kicking off on Monday here across the state of Texas as 2-a-days get rolling for 4A down. They'll be starting all that, and that means that college football teams will be reporting soon, and training camp has already started across the NFL as well. And so, Josh, for a conference that, where would you have ranked the Big 12 conference in the order of the Power Five? SEC, I would say number 1. Big 10, number 2. And then,
are we talking just football or overall?
Well, I think you're very good point in that. But when you start looking at it, everybody was jumping. The people left. Texas A&M left. Nebraska left. Colorado, who we'll talk about in a moment. Missouri. All these people left, and we were the Big 12 with 10 teams. And we didn't have. There was a period we didn't have a conference championship. It ended up a title game that ended up costing TCU and Baylor a chance to play for a national championship. All this stuff, and now you look. And you've got 2 big names leaving in Texas and OU, but you've got 4 pretty good fan bases coming. And yesterday announced that Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes are not only coming, they're going to be here next year.
Right.
And you've got now people wanting to come to the Big 12. And we just read a tweet that rumor that Oregon is wanting to look and possibly head this way too. And the Pac-12 is going to be real close to maybe being no longer in existence.
Yeah, and that is crazy, to think about, but it is very true. And the thing is, a few years ago, the Big 12 was on the verge of collapsing. It had all the exits that you mentioned, and then just the turmoil that was there. The push towards, and that was prior to Texas and Oklahoma having made their decision to leave, but it was opening that door, and there were people clamoring. They're like, okay, where's Tech going to end up? Where's Baylor going to end up? How is TCU going to find a new conference? Because it was kind of a every man for himself seeming mentality that different like.
Well, and you think when TCU kind of came in, they were one of the new kids on the block.
Right, and so there was a lot going on there. And it's crazy how all of these, and we've talked about it, and I don't like it, but there's no longer a geographic center, as far as needed to have a conference. They're with UCLA and USC going to the Big 10, which makes no sense geographically, because they're obviously halfway across the country from the center of what used to be, that Midwest, Big 10, and then the SEC has stayed somewhat confined to the actual South, but they're still expanding their borders as they grow, and now it left the Big 12 in kind of a predicament. But their commissioner has done an excellent job and brought on. Not only do they expand this year with being the first year, but they added BYU, Houston, UCF, and Cincinnati. I couldn't think of the last one. Thank you for helping me out there. Yep. So obviously that expanded their borders quite a bit. Now Colorado coming on, and like I read before that there were talks with Oregon and Washington and some other Pac-12 teams that never really materialized or hadn't gone the full scope. Then Colorado coming kind of maybe opened that door a little bit more. And what I'm reading now is, they're at 13 teams. They're obviously looking to go to 14, because an even number makes all the scheduling much easier. So that's obviously a consideration. And Oregon is one of the biggest brands. It's
huge.
That's out there.
It's brand now. The tradition of Oregon, and I'll Joey Harrington and Marcus Mariota, and I'm sure there's some other folks. But the thing is, when it comes to brands, USC and UCLA are the biggest that are probably in what used to be, trying to still be the Pac-12. But Oregon, because of Nike and because of their what they've done from a branding. They were the first ones that made these uniforms. Heck, don't
Oh, yeah.
give Baylor the credit of the bright neon.
Oh
but,
yeah,
but what they've done and
they
brought,
set that trend of flashy uniforms and changing uniforms for every game and all of that.
And I remember here, whether it be in Merkel or at Hardin Simmons, people wearing Oregon stuff because they thought it was cool.
Yeah,
and it did become a household name. And so when you start adding them, and Brett Yormark, and again, it's good and bad, but it's good when your commissioner's known. Like Greg Sankey does a great job with the SEC, obviously, and Brett Yormark is doing a really good job. He's the first one that said, "We're not going to miss UT and OU." I mean, they haven't won, they haven't played in our conference
right
championship.
Off the bat, he said, "We have a plan."
Yeah, we're fine. And when you start people, and that's what organizations need to do. If you start panicking and you start freaking out, and you start panicking, well, he's not doing that. They're adding teams, and people want to come. It's no different. People want to go play at Alabama. People want to be a part of the Big 12, and I think it's going to be exciting because you start looking, and if Oregon comes on board, they're pretty good at other sports as well. And so, but I think one of the big things about Colorado making this move and why I think it's good is you've got one of the most high-profile people as your head coach.
Right.
I'm not saying he's Shohei Ohtani, but he's one of the most high-profile people in all of sports as your head coach. And you don't need Dion coaching out on the West Coast. You bring him to the Big 12 where he's playing people and you can be seen, and now that exposure is different. I mean, the Big 12 is going to be on ABC. The Big 12 is going to be on ESPN. The Big 12 is going to be on Fox and those things. And so when you start adding Dion and the Colorado Buffaloes to the Big 12, I think it's a great opportunity for Dion and the whole Colorado University and the Big 12.
Yeah, I agree completely. And it's really like, what is that next domino? You know, like that's what now you got to kind of. They're going to do something, and who's it going to be? But I do think they've cemented themselves to stay relevant, even with the loss of what be considered their two biggest draws, and they're making that play to make sure they're still in that conversation. You know, and the SEC obviously is still going to be like you talk about the number one conference, you know, as far as like what they bring to the table in all of the major sports, you know, the sports that move the needle being the men's and women's basketball, baseball, you know, along with
sports that help pay for the other.
Yes, and football is the biggest, you know,
right.
by far. But basketball's right, you know, basketball's the next, and you know, the Big 12 has a very strong basketball conference, you know, so that's.
And it
you know,
just got better with Houston.
Yes,
it just got better with Houston.
Very much so. And there's also been talks with UConn being the next team that comes on, which wouldn't help the football side, but obviously would help the basketball side.
And now you start looking, because when we started talking about these people leaving the Big 12, UT and Oklahoma, we started asking ourselves, well, what does that mean? And Herd Street came on, you know, a couple years ago talking about this. What does that mean for schools like Tech and Oklahoma State and Baylor? Well, now you have to start asking that question. If you're sitting there in Arizona, you're like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And if you're Oregon State, what are we doing? Washington State, what are we going to do? Because now it all looks like, because you got to find a place to play, and you don't want to be somewhere where it doesn't benefit you, because now recruiting's already difficult because of the NIL situation.
Right.
The coach from Pittsburgh was talking about that this week in ACC Media Days, talking about how that has become an issue because we don't have the resources. We can't do what other people do. Well, now that you take that out, and now you start trying to figure out, oh gosh, now not only is Oregon leaving, now they can go and say, you don't have to play here anymore. We're going to go out that way.
Right. Well, and it's really interesting because, like I was scared for teams like Tech and Baylor, Oklahoma State, as you mentioned, you know, if the Big 12 kind of dissolved and fell apart, would it become another American conference or you know, like Sun Belt conference, you know, one of those next tier down, not really in the conversation type conferences. And is that what's going to happen to the Pac-12? I mean, what are they going to do? Are all their teams going to leave and just be gone completely? I think that you kind of get that sinking ship feeling if you're one of those teams that's still there, thinking I've got to make a move before someone else does, and leaves me in the cold.
And like the old math questions that we used to have when we were in school, the word problems of math. Let's face it, Josh. This train is leaving at 2:00. This train is leaving at 3. When are they going to collide? In those two trains that I'm talking about colliding, eventually there will not be 5 Power 5 conferences. There's going to be 2 to 3 or something like that. We're going to have we're going to have an American League, and we're going to have a National League. We're going to have NFC, we're going to have an AFC. And that's eventually what's going to happen. We're going to have these Power 5 power conferences, and you're going to have to restructure
the super
conferences. You're going to have to rearrange and what does all that look like, which I'm okay with. And then you're going to have to figure out what do you do with basketball and all that, because when you started mentioning sports, I think some of the sports that you start looking at that are important because you watch on TV is football, is basketball, college baseball, and one that's really been making a push is college softball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are on TV. You can now start saying that. And if you're playing in one of these other conferences, you're not seen. But if you're playing in the Big 12, you're playing in the SEC, you're going to be on TV, not only with football, not only with basketball, but college baseball and softball. It really made a big push.
Right. And that's a recruiting bonus also. If you can, tell your people, come to our school, we have TV contracts. That makes a difference, obviously, because kids want the recognition and the notoriety and that, but also that allows their parents to be able to watch games that they can't get to all of them all across the country and things like that. So that definitely becomes an added feather in the cap as far as trying to recruit. So it's definitely important.
So again, college football's coming. I'm excited about it. We're excited about it. But the good thing is we still have the Rangers, and it's a lot of fun. So much to talk about. We're going to have a full house in just a moment. We'll be back with more Hodge Pack right after this. Hello.
Hello, David Bear. Yeah, this is I showed my parents on Friday. I was gonna say, all right. Good for you. Like y'all had fun and read it.
Celebrate responsibly. Have you enjoyed the Chelsea Live experience yet? If not,
What's the band?
the best atmospheres around. Amazing food, great drinks, live music, TVs to watch your favorite sporting events. The Chelsea Live team will make sure you have the experience that you need to tell your favorite guys.
That sounds like wait, what? That sounds like I'm really thinking.
I'm a real big reader.
Josh, I think I have some people convinced you wouldn't call me. Like, and his dad might be one of them. Did y'all notice that I changed my shirt picture? It was red when I first sent y'all pictures. And then y'all didn't say anything, and I was like, I wonder if they realized I photoshopped my shirt and made it pink. Okay. Okay, let me see if I can get up here. Oh my gosh, this chair, you can hear it. I don't know why I felt like it needed a sound effect, but.
Hey, isn't it?
There's a mirror back here.
What's wrong?
I just gotta make sure I have like an egg in my mouth.
What was I about to Google?
I don't know. Hi.
How are you? Hi.
Hi, I'm Misty.
Misty?
Nice to meet you. Yes, Misty. With a T.
We got one more segment, and then we'll kick off the hour number 2.
Oh,
She's a big deal.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Misty's a big deal. So, do you live where the signs are? We're neighbors. I live right down the road from you.
Yeah, it's always good to like the sport to buy a house.
There you go. Yeah. Did you have to change much with it?
You took out the baseball, the bases, and all that. You put irrigation in. The field was. So the rest of the field was already irrigated. So that's everything to change. And then we just had to, over time, bring in topsoil to that low. That's pretty good right now.
Cool.
Like this one, go into movies or back.
Yeah. I mean, we have to cover it because obviously we posted about it. And
Well, but
I'll read.
my thing about the movies is that people are actually doing, there was a stretch where nobody was.
Right. Well, and it's like having parties and, premiere parties and stuff like that.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack Sports Life and everything in between. Hodge, Misty, and Josh rocking and rolling here in our first hour with you. We're glad that you're here. Hey, as you hear that intro again, Mark Powell song coming in, I want to give a shout out. Be sure you call here, call your local stations or call people you know and request download. Mark released a new song this week called Legend. Great tune. Go check it out and download it and all those things. Another shout out, Caleb Sutton. Manny, state champion at Holly, but also an amazing artist that's released an album last night called Too Wild. Go download it. Caleb Sutton, he does a really good job. And so, anyway, wanted to give them a shout out tonight or this morning. Misty, you're here. Yeah.
I am here.
You forgot what time of day it was?
Present
Yeah,
and
it's true.
accounted for.
It's true. And you're kind of back to matching your water with your dress. It's a shade of green.
I do that a lot, and I don't even mean to, but some people say, like, what's in your water? I'm like, oh, wouldn't you like to know?
Yeah, well, again,
Very green.
It
and
is
so
very
what's
green.
funny is we were talking about how there have been times when we used to in that studio and sometimes here about, well, Missy's not wearing pants. Well, you're not wearing pants.
I'm
again
not.
today.
You're
There you
right.
go. Yeah,
I'm back to not wearing pants for a while.
there you go.
You're welcome.
Congratulations. Well, speaking of, well, it has nothing to do with speaking of pants, but it is time to open up. But before you open your bag, I am kind of sorry, Missy.
So about the pants.
Oh,
No.
Yeah, before.
Is the next hour we're going to talk about, you had an adventure, and we all three may be on an adventure a little bit later, so it's good stuff.
Yes.
But anyway, it's time to open Mulligan's Misty's bag.
Okay, this week you are tasked with creating a new sports drink. What's it called? What's the slogan? And which athlete is endorsing it for you?
Sports drink, huh? And
Yeah.
what's in it? Well, what I wish was the sports drink and made you faster and jump higher like the shoes do is Dr. Pepper, but it slows you down.
Huh?
You know what I'm saying? Like sports drinks.
Hodge would try to endorse Dr. Pepper, though, if there was a way
Oh,
to make it a
100%.
sports drink.
Yeah. Well, if it can make me run faster or jump higher or hit the golf ball farther and all that.
Well,
there you
nowadays
go.
I just feel like, okay, like what's in this water is BCAA. So kind of like
Is what?
it's called BCAA. It's
BCAA.
BC Hooked on Phonics works for me. BCAA. So there's just so many of these sports enhancement drinks, all kinds of things.
Well, and they're all in a little powder
Yes,
and pour it
this
in your
is a
water
powder.
and
Yes.
Space
So
Jam water.
it got me thinking about this, and I was like, okay, we're gonna roll
That's-
with this. Oh, he looked. Did you see
that
the
is it.
light bulb?
That is it.
Went off.
His eyes got so
Space
big
Jam
and
water.
excited.
Space
Space
Jam
Jam.
juice. And because if you remember in Space Jam, man, they were losing, the Monstars were taking over the world, and
Such a great flick. Really.
and Bugs Bunny and Jordan get together and they get a little tap water and Jordan starts drinking it and everybody starts drinking it, and next thing you know, the Monstars go down. So Space Jam juice it would be
Space Jam juice.
we'd have a endorsed
Bugs Bunny.
Bugs Bunny, and Elmer Fudd would. I would bring Elmer Fudd, and he would have his gun back. That's another story. But
So you're going to target the kids, bringing back the characters?
well, no, you could. I would
Are
actually.
you going for youth sports here?
Youth sports.
Yeah, youth sports.
Yes.
Hey, there's a market.
Oh,
There's
100%.
a huge market.
No more Capri Suns at the run-through sign of
Yeah.
soccer
Capri
field.
Sun.
It's Space Jam juice
I
for the
actually
win.
like this.
That,
And so,
yeah, that's marketable. I
Yeah.
When
think.
you get rich, remember who asked the question.
well, but and you got to make it like your green here is fine. Like it's a good color. It's
Right.
it's one of those that might draw you to it. And so, I think pink would be okay, but if it was like blue, Space Jam juice.
Sounds solid to me.
And your bottle would be huge. Do you remember All Sport? It was like the carbonated one that came out. Because you're exactly right. All these different sport drinks came out. It's like, just realize there's Gatorade, and then that was it.
And then
And then
everything.
Powerade came out.
Mhm.
But then all these other different ones popped up. So mine would be Space Jam juice. It would be
More
awesome.
Bugs Bunny.
And really, the bottle would
Not
be
even MJ? Like,
no, MJ would have to be, but honestly, Bill Murray, because if you remember, Bill Murray is pretty crucial
Yes.
in Space Jam. But also in that would be my bottle would not be like the traditional. It would be the sports bottle. Would be how you buy it.
oh, I
You know
love
what I mean?
it. Yeah, I do
Yeah.
love a good sports bottle.
Squeeze the
The
squeeze.
squeeze that in
Yeah.
that way, and
I
the
think you
commercial.
should put it in a bag like a Capri Sun.
I always feel like the
That way
Capri
we can
Sun.
stab it with the straw.
I
and sprays
feel
all
like
over
I'm
it.
doing an IV or something. Every time you try to open and do that, and you're like, I'm going to puncture something, and I'm about to wear the Capri Sun. And why is the hole so small? But Josh, what would yours be?
Never mind, I'm not going to touch that one.
Good choice.
I think I'm gonna do like a pre-workout drink, and it's gonna be called Power Hour, and you're supposed to drink one ounce per minute for 1 hour.
Wow, I'm impressed. Have you thought about this, or did you just?
No, it just popped in my head.
He's
I'm
got-
like, wow, okay.
You know, the old people back in the day, people would have a still doing moonshine, you know, like Dukes of Hazzard, they were moving all that. Josh has a still of Power Hour he's out there making
Power Hour.
on the ranch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then,
brewing it in his shop.
yeah, it's just an energy booster drink, and I think that I would get, I don't know, maybe Rob Gronkowski. I like him. He seems like a Power Hour type of guy.
He does. Well, oh yeah, and you didn't say your slogan for Space Jam juice. Like, sure to make you fly, or like, what are we going with?
Space Jam juice. Well, I'll answer that, but it's so 1988 is when Powerade came out. I thought it was a lot later than that. And then 1965 was Gatorade.
Wow.
And so for the longest time, it was
Yeah, it's
just
just
those
Gatorade.
two.
Yeah.
But now you have Quench and all these other things. But
And
so Space Jam juice. Oh yeah, Space Jam juice.
juice.
Yeah, you're going to be welcome when you get that, and I'm going to be ticked off when I walk through United in a couple weeks and it's there. Space Jam juice slogan. What was yours? I mean, your Power Hour's got a.
Well, I'm still thinking on that. I can only move so quickly.
So your Power Hour is a before workout
Oh yeah,
drink,
pre-workout.
Pre-workout.
One shot per minute for 1 hour,
and then go work out.
and then go work out.
Power Hour.
Yeah.
Power Hour.
A lot of-
Ready for
lot
the
of
power.
shooting.
It
Taking me
is.
back to my college
It
days.
is. That's
Power Hour and Space
that's why
Jam
Rob
juice.
Gronkowski is nice.
Yeah, you definitely need Gronk for
And
that.
Gronk would be great for
Raymond
that.
Brady too. I mean, remember when he
Oh,
throws
yeah.
the
He
Lombardi?
could toss the Power Hour drink to Gronk, and Gronk starts drinking it, and then ready to roll.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, I don't know. You don't need much of a slogan for that. I'd say just feel the power. Like
Okay.
Space Jam juice.
Yeah.
Space Jam juice taking you.
To the next
to the next
outer
level.
space.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, Space Jam
I
juice.
believe
Yeah.
I can fly. I think is what.
Yeah,
I
I
can
think
believe I can fly.
sure to
There
make
you
you fly.
There you go.
All right, what's yours?
Or feeling fly.
Feeling
Uh-oh.
There you go. Space
Someone
Jam
call
juice.
me right now, please. We're marketing this.
Space Jam juice, Power Hour, and
So I'm gonna go with PE drink.
VE drink.
PED drink.
PED.
PED, yeah. It's sure to increase your performance, and Mark McGuire is going to market it for me.
Oh, there you go. I'm not here to talk about the past. I'm only here to talk about the future.
Yeah, exactly.
That can be your slogan.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I can't decide if Kevin's going to be disappointed he has to
Or
answer
just,
that
they're just not banned.
He's got more time to think than y'all did.
That is true. Hey, that is Misty's Bag, brought to you by Mulligan's. Again, great job last Saturday raising money for Denise. Raised a lot of money for a great cause. And so head out to Mulligan's this weekend. Enjoy some golf, enjoy some food, and hang out with some folks. Always check out and see. I think Abby French may be playing tonight. So check out the live music they've got happening at Mulligan's. It's time for our 8 o'clock hour. When we come back, rugby. What do you know about it? I don't know a lot about it. We're going to learn about it and how you can play here in the big country right after this. All right, I'm going to go check this.
Oh, we do. We actually talked about rugby last week. I had asked them, what is the hardest position in sports? And I said, rugby. I was like, we're talking about rugby, like they don't have anything on. Like, it's not like football where they're all padded up. And so we talked, I didn't even know that you were going to come on, but we did talk about rugby last week just briefly when we talked about how hard certain positions in sports are.
It's not for the face of God.
No, I could not, yeah.
My 17-year-old she plays for and she wanted to be a cheerleader or something like that.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
This is
Not wishing out. 17 now.
Have you enjoyed the Coastal Live experience?
She plays on a program that she travels internationally.
Oh my gosh.
You staying in on this?
Yeah, so I can ask him the question, right? You want me to ask him like we did last week? Do you want to ask the question? The bad question, and then I'll let y'all go. I'll start with it if you want. That's what it is. Oh, stay or whatever. Yeah, I'll stay here if you want to grab this one. That's awesome.
West Texas Performance.
And this is our
No, nothing. I love it. Yeah, I love it.
West Texas Performance.
Academy.
I don't want to. That's one of my students that hardly that. The exception of the wide receiver, and he's strong and he's fast.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack, Sports Life and everything in between as we kick off hour number 2. You hear that music? It's time for our Big Country Electric My Town segment, brought to you by Big Country Electric Cooperative, taking care of their members each and every day out of 3 offices, Roby, Snyder, and Stanford. We appreciate them and all that they do for their members each and every day. And we always highlight a local player, coach, or program. And today we're highlighting a new program, a sport, a coach. Heck, you might be considered the commissioner. I don't know what
All of the above.
all the above. But joining us in studio, bringing our Pet Patrol phone to life, Kevin Phillipson from West Texas Performance Academy. And I saw the signs. Kevin lives not far from me, and I saw these signs talking about rugby. And I was like, man, we got to talk about rugby because I don't know anything about rugby. But unfortunately, Kevin, or fortunately, however you look at it, when the guest comes on after Misty's question, they get to answer it. Now, you don't have to come up with a slogan, but do you have a name you would have? What kind of drink you would have?
A special drink that I like.
Yeah.
Or
yeah, the drink that you like or that you would create or what you would call it.
A sports drink.
a
For your
sports drink.
rugby team.
A sports drink for our rugby team. Well, I
I actually, based on your T-shirt, I would just say, don't knock it. Don't knock it.
There you go.
Don't knock it.
That would be a good one.
Yeah, don't knock it
So you try.
till you try it. There you go, and that'd be your slogan.
Don't
So,
knock it. Nice and small underneath. So you try.
there you go. So Kevin, again, Kevin is here, West Texas Performance Academy, rugby. And I look at rugby similar to not long ago. There was a group of folks that started hockey, and they were playing hockey and all those some field hockey, and I think they found some places to play ice hockey and all that. But in this part of the country, there's not a lot of rugby being played in Abilene, Texas. But you're bringing rugby here, so talk a little bit about maybe the misconceptions that people have of rugby and the opportunity that folks can have to play it.
All right. The first misconception comes from years ago. There was a tournament in Wisconsin, and they partnered with a blood bank, and they had a bumper sticker back there, the vinyl one, just comes back in car, give blood, play rugby. Unfortunately, that branded the sport as this brutal blood game. Far from it. I played actively for 41 years. Played my last game at 52. No, there's no pads.
Right.
But the thing that people don't understand is because there's no protection, we know that. So I know that I don't have pads, you don't have pads. The object is not to hurt you, it's to get the ball. So if we play to the object of the game, it's actually incredibly low injury game. In 41 years, I broke my pinky and dislocated my ribs twice. That's a lot of playing time.
Tony Romo would have loved to have that
Yeah, no
happen.
kidding. That's a great stat.
So-
If you're a Dallas Cowboy.
You know, my son has played for about 9 years, and I think he rolled his ankle once and kept him out of the next couple games. That's the only injury he's ever had that's kept him off the field, and in 2020, he was a collegiate All-American.
Well, in fact, one of the girls from Holly, she played football. Her name's Abby, and she played football, was on the team. She's actually going to play rugby in a college in South Carolina, I believe. And so when you start thinking about what can I get my kid involved, or and adults as well, but what I can get my kid involved, because maybe your kid doesn't like football, or maybe your kid doesn't like other sports, but maybe rugby is the thing that would be perfect for him or her.
Kids going into college, you need to understand one thing. If you want to go to a good college, playing one of the mainstream sports, you are a small fish in a very, very big competitive pond. You want to go to a really good college and play a sport that is exciting and you play all year round. Because rugby is a 12-month season. There's universities like Dartmouth, Harvard, Air Force Academy, Naval Academy, West Point, Life University in Atlanta, St. Mary's, top colleges that are giving people almost full-ride scholarships to come and play rugby. You're on TV on a regular basis. It's tremendous education with a great sport. But one of the biggest things that I love about it is most college sports, when you graduate, you're done. I don't hear many people saying, I played football in college and I play every weekend. The injuries keep you out. I don't have any knee problems. I don't have any ankle problems. And I played a contact sport for 41 years. Not many football players can say that.
Right.
But going into college, you can play a sport, enjoy it, and then when you finish college, you can find a local program at whatever level you want. You want a social, the Division 4 where Abilene Rugby Club is, the adult program. Right now we're in Division 4. It's very social. Very social. Have a beer and play rugby in that order.
Right. So it's another version of hanging out with your buddies playing golf.
Yeah.
Doing it with rugby.
But, rugby lets you bend. You can get aggressive. people say it's a violent sport. No, it's not. It's an aggressive sport. Another misconception that we have is people say, oh, it's a dangerous sport, but it's a dangerous contact sport. I like to position it as it's an avoidance of contact sport, but knowing what to do in contact. So if you look at it from that standpoint, the objective is not to get tackled. The objective is to get through the crowd. So we don't look for that big hit. People say, oh, I love to hit. I'm going to play rugby. You like to hit, you're going to get hurt. If you like to run and be competitive and be able to vent and blow off steam, there's no better sport than have a busy week and go and play some rugby on a Tuesday and a Thursday. You'll let off steam.
So how has the sport for you evolved? You said that you played for 41 years. So I can only imagine, just like with any sport, it evolves over time. Uniforms change, equipment changes, just facilities. Can you speak to how it has evolved from when you started playing to now?
When I started playing, we wore very heavy cotton jerseys. When they got full of sweat, they almost tripled in weight. You had these. They weren't very attractive. They were nasty. I've got a set of them still. Every now and again, we pull out the retro, and the guys are like, "Oh my gosh, no, please!" But we have it. The uniforms now are very form-fitting. They almost like wearing a compression suit, like people wear compression shorts and tops. It's like wearing one of those. It's very tight-fitting. One of the biggest advantages, it's a four-way stretch and it's hard to grab. So when you're playing, people can't grab your clothes and throw you in that, which is tremendous. The biggest change in the game, I played rugby union. There's two, the league and union. I played rugby union 15 aside. There's 15 players on each side on the field at the same time. The new version, that is the Olympic sports, been around since the 70s, is 7 aside. It's played in a tournament style. You play 7 minutes, 2-minute half, 7 minutes. Very quick. There's only 7 on the field, the size.
So you have a total of 14 going at it.
Yeah. Full-size soccer field. So it's a big field with 7 players, and it's very quick. And it's high stamina requirement, a lot of movement. And I love coaching 7s, but I've never played 7s. But I've played 15s or more.
So rugby in Abilene, talk about your program and how folks, because you got, again, sign-ups, you got things, how can folks get involved? If we got listeners that want themselves, they want to get in the social aspect of it, they want to get in the venting act of it, or they want something for their kids to do.
So at the moment, we have a active collegiate men's side. Any registered college student in Abilene can play. The team is, for the next season, will be entered under ACU. That's the registered team at the moment. But we are looking to transition that. We're registering a team under McMurray's name. I teach at McMurray, so that's where we're going to move the team. And ACU has also pulled back from a lot of club sports and supporting them financially. So I'd rather have a McMurray team. So if you want to play and you are 18 to 24, military, one of the colleges, even if you're just doing some courses, you can register and play on the collegiate side. We have an adults team, 18 and over. We play in the Division 4 social in Texas. We have about 6 games over the fall season. We are working on a women's team. We've got 4 women that come out already, and they're looking for more so we can play. We need a total of about 10 to have an active team. On the kids' side is where I'm the most excited. We're focusing on building. I call it middle school, and I've had a lot of parents push back. Well, my kid doesn't have a middle school in their school. It's 10 to 14-year-olds. We need 9 kids to make a team on the 7th program. So 7 on the field, 2 reserves. We're looking for 9 boys and 9 girls, 10 to 14. My objective is to have one of those programs at each of the middle schools in Avalon. That would give us a really solid, localized league. We'll be able to play each other without having to travel a long way, and we can then duplicate that into the surrounding towns.
And it would cut on the financial need if you could just stay put here, find the field, do those things there. So, how if they want to sign up? I know we're running out of time, but if they want to sign up, how do they do that? How do they get in contact with you so that they can, whether it's a parent wanting to play, parent kid, how do they sign up?
The best central spot is to go to West Texas Performance Academy on Facebook. I'm not a big poster on Facebook, but there's basic information there, address, phone numbers, and all the rest, and email. We also have Big Country Youth Rugby, which is the registered program for kids under 18 and under, and they can go there, or they can just come out to practice on this the house, the one on 707 with the big fir trees. You'll see the lights in the background. Tuesdays and Thursdays, practice for kids is 6 p.m. until 7:30. Pair of cleats or sneakers, preferably cleats, shorts, t-shirt, and a lot of water.
There you go.
And kids are going to come and have some fun. There's no cost to register, which
That's huge.
That's nowhere else.
As a travel softball mom, that is huge.
so rugby is probably the lowest cost sport you can ever get your kids into. If they want to play competitively, there's a $65 registration with the national program for the year that gives them additional health insurance and liability coverage. You hurt someone on the field and they sue you, you got $1 million of liability coverage. That's your registration with the national program. We don't get any of that. If you're in the high school, 15 to 18, it's $95. Adults is $145. And that covers you from September 1st to August 31st. Any tournament, any game, anywhere in the country, you can play. So you're covered. We don't charge anyone to play from outside. We rely on corporate support. We have scholarships to help parents with getting cleats, or if your kid gets selected and you're going to go play in a tournament in Dallas this weekend and you need help with a hotel or transport or food, we can provide scholarship on that. We're going to local businesses and restaurants to get gift cards for food. We work with Hilton to get hotel rooms. So we will help. Years ago, I was tired of the idea that I didn't have the best team. I had the best team that could afford to pay for it. So we took the money out as much as possible. If we do put in a scholarship, we ask the kids and the families to pay 5%. So if you need $300 or $200, you're going to put in $10 or $15, but you're also going to put in the equivalent of 20% of community service. So you're going to do something in the community
To give back.
And we'll cover the rest. We'll help them.
That's pretty
So,
cool.
That's very cool. I love
Well,
it.
well, Kevin, I appreciate you coming in and promoting rugby. We've liked it on our Facebook page. We'll promote it. So if you want to play, get involved, check out West Texas Performance Academy Facebook page. Again, drive by. The lights won't need to be on quite yet because the sun's up, but starts August 1st. And so we appreciate you coming in and talking about rugby and educating us a little bit.
sounds good.
All right, again, that's Kevin, again, with West Texas Performance Academy. Rugby, if you want your kids to get involved, don't knock it till you try it and give it a shot. When we come back, we have the most tenured quarterback on our team. What does that mean for us? We'll be back right after this.
Super interesting.
We
Love it.
just like, well, every kid is not a football person.
Yeah, that is
Basketball player, soccer player,
Yeah.
volleyball. We want girls. My theory is, if I get a girls team, I'll get a boys team automatically.
Yeah.
Because the boys are going to say, if the girls can do it,
Oh,
we
for
can do it.
sure. Yeah.
There's no movement difference, and rules are not. So girls and boys will train together to do contact practice.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
they all run, they all train, get little kids out. We have autistic kids come out, and like we get to run around all the time. And they get those that are just coming out for the exercise, we get about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then just okay, if you guys sit aside,
Let's get down to business.
our next stop is
Yes.
we'll bring it, and then at 7 o'clock you don't start. You guys will be fine. But we just get people in, have some fun, run around.
Yeah.
We don't pick you, we pick you.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I love it.
All
That,
right.
that was very cool. It was nice
Appreciate it.
to
Thanks,
meet you.
Kevin.
Thank you for coming.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was
well-
great. Love to have you all back when
We've
everything gets
got
underway.
a couple home games coming up, so I'll let you know
Yeah.
ahead of time.
Where are y'all playing at your house? Bill?
That's so cool. Yeah.
We also play at the complex.
Yeah.
So if it's a league game, my field is shorter than league requirement.
Uh-huh.
For the little kids, right there.
It's okay. Yeah.
For college and adults, that's
Yeah.
All
Awesome.
right, thanks.
Well, thank you
Appreciate it.
so
Thanks,
much.
Kevin.
Have a good day. Bye. It's interesting. Like, I always thought it was a contact sport. It was super painful.
Well, I've also heard that, like, they say that because if you wear pads in football, you're more likely to obviously hit harder.
Yes.
Because, like, if you,
More injury prone.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I liked his accent.
Yeah. He's not from Abilene.
I was like, this keeps talking. I'm a sucker for a good accent. I'm a little chilly. I'm sure y'all feel great, but
It's definitely cool.
yeah. Like, ooh. Like, is there on or is it just that thing? Yeah, 'cause it feels good in here.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack Sports Life and everything in between. As you hear, Mike McCarthy as part of it. Again, training camp is kicked off out at Oxnard this past week. Jerry, Stephen, and Coach McCarthy talking about the upcoming year as it is here, and we are not long. And again, don't forget, KLGD is your place for Dallas Cowboy football, as we are part of the Dallas Cowboy Radio Network. And so it's happening. I mean, I know, Josh, you'd said I'm not quite ready for football yet because the excitement that is happening across the street from AT&T Stadium, and the Rangers doing so well. And again, they are heading into San Diego. They're already there, picking that off tonight. But a couple things. One, Zach Martin still not there as far as I know. I've not seen anything that he's arrived. $50,000 a day for not showing up. And Jerry talks about it at the press conference, how, of course, they signed Diggs to a big deal. But you've got a pile of money. You've got contracts that you've got to find a way to fit everything into your Rubik's Cube to make it work. And so we've got to figure out a way. I think they'll figure out to get him in, but you've got to have Zach.
Have to have him.
Dak needs Zach,
Yes.
because if not, he will be on his back and need some Space Jam juice.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I'm like, just whatever he's asking for, Jerry, give him $10 less, and then it'll be like a deal for you. And then let's just wrap this up already. Like, come on. That's my opinion on it. I'm like, we need Zach.
Well, yes, we do, and I understand that, but I mean, you also have to. The salary cap being what it is,
And I get that.
You have to be able to make it work. Now, you want to keep your good, you got to keep your good players there, as many as you can, and that's what's so hard. But I get it. You want to get paid what you feel like you're worth. We talked about that before. We talked about it with the running backs and all of that, but they need to work it out, and I think they will, because if nothing else, Jerry is a good negotiator, and he wants the team to be as good as it can be. So I'm not scared that he's going to sit out the whole season. It's just a matter of when he's going to get in there, and he's a professional, and I have no doubt that he will show up ready to go when it's time to do so.
Well, and I'm looking at this contract, is that contract term 6 year, $84 million. You got a $20 million signing bonus. Average salary is $14 million. Guaranteed at signing is $32 million. Total guaranteed at $40 million. So, and don't get me wrong, we talked about the positions that are important. Offensive line is huge, and making sure you get paid is a big deal. And so I agree that Zach eventually will get paid, and I don't see him not starting week one and all those things. But you also want him to get there to get in the flow, and because when people are not there, whether it's Saquon Barkley or whether it's Chris Jones or whoever it is, when somebody's not there that is a key piece to the puzzle, it's a distraction. And yes, you know that eventually he's going to show up and all those things.
And just drama.
But
we don't need.
Right. Now, the only small benefit is somebody's getting reps. Somebody's getting reps to get better and if they need to be used. But anyway, so Zach Martin still no show. Tomorrow, Dak Prescott turns 30 years old, and with Aaron Rodgers leaving the Packers, he is now the longest tenured quarterback at one spot. And what blew my mind is, you want to know what year he's entering? Does anybody want to guess what year he is entering this season on the Cowboys?
Dak?
How long has he been there? He's starting his
7 years.
I'm going to say 8.
It's 8. And when I think about that,
He's starting his 8th. You said how long has he been there?
Yeah, he's starting his 8th year, and it blows my mind on that seems not very long, but it feels like he's been there like forever. It seems like it's been so far removed since Tony Romo was the starting quarterback of the Cowboys. When they said 8, it blew my mind that that's all it was. And so at 30 years old, that he's turning tomorrow, obviously is a prime age for quarterbacks. What would I'll give you a Misty's back. What is your birthday wish if you were going to encourage Dak to blow out the candles for his birthday wish? What would it be for Dak Prescott?
For me, obviously, it's number one is way less interceptions. He threw 15 last season. I mean, I'll even settle for 10 because our D will carry, even at 10 interceptions. I would love, solid 6 or 7 on the season. But, yeah, we have to have less interceptions as he blows out those 30. I'm like, for the love, please we get 10 or less, which would be a total upgrade from last season.
So you're going lack of interceptions, less interceptions. He made a comment in his press conference about, he said, it's going to be less. It's going to be better.
Well, we'll see.
I'm not going to have that kind of year again. And he talked about some drops and all those things and some of the interceptions not necessarily being his fault. Josh, what would your candle's wish be for Dak Prescott?
Well, I mean, for him personally, for the team to succeed, I think y'all are right. It obviously is they have to protect the ball better. That was a weak point last year. There were several games that were decided basically on interceptions, and so that's the most important thing I think for his personal play. But I think that it goes to just the bigger picture. He needs to prove that he's a winner. And
Yeah, it's time
and
now,
that's
for sure.
like so. I guess some playoff wins. Yeah, like
Yeah, playoff wins. I agree with that. So Missy has interceptions down. Josh has playoff wins. Mine is a combination of yours, Josh, which would lead to also yours being less interceptions, playoff wins. I want him to play and start every game and stay healthy.
And I want his mind there. Like I
Right.
want him there.
Well, and
there.
I do think, and Josh, you mentioned the proven winner. We've won 11 games 2 years in a row, but the winner level is going to that next level of being a playoff team, getting that.
winning a division series, or not a series, but a division game.
Well, and because
it's
just
trying
like
to go from good to great.
well, and just like how Steve Young's monkey on his back was a Super Bowl. His monkey on his back. You've got to win a Super Bowl. You've been behind Joe Montana. Da 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 da. And when they beat the San Diego Chargers that year, and he pointed to his back and was like, "It's finally off." Well, Dak Prescott has got a monkey on his back because in the same way of being able to lead this elite franchise in a direction that makes them, I'm going to use your word, level up to what people expect them to do. And so mine is, if I was asking Dak, hey, this is my birthday wish for you, is to stay healthy, a combination of not throwing interceptions, a combination of leading this group. Because there's no doubt, now I do think Zach Martin's probably the leader or one of the big leaders on this team.
Absolutely.
But Dak Prescott, that comes with the territory, not only with the quarterback, but it comes with the territory of being the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. And it's kind of like when you talk to seniors, hey guys, we haven't been to the playoffs in so many years. This coming year, Merkle Badgers, they are 20 years from the team of 2003. And that team broke the playoff drought for 40 years. Merkle had not made the playoffs since 1963. And in 2003, they made the playoffs for the first time in 40 years.
Wow.
That senior class has that. We were part of that. And to me, Dak, why not be the guy that says it's not always? And what Troy Aikman did winning 3 Super Bowls was amazing. But why not be the quarterback that actually makes that change and takes the Cowboys back to where every one of us, from Dallas Cowboy Radio to people that have always loved the Cowboys, expect us to be?
Yeah, and I mean we're gonna have shutdown corners. And I'm excited. Obviously, I love football, but I'm like, it is go time. Like nobody's business if you're a Dallas Cowboy.
And don't get me wrong, Brandon Cooks, I hope, is a good addition on the receiving corps. That's the other thing. If I was going to be blowing out candles too, I want my receivers to stay healthy.
Yes.
I want no injuries. You're going to have bumps and bruises. Not everybody's going to play all 17 games in the regular season, but finding ways to stay healthy and actually lead this team to where how great would it be to have 2 across the street, the Rangers doing what they're doing
Gosh,
and
yes.
keep rolling, and the Cowboys, because it's been a while. But you remember that, Josh, where playoff game over there, a regular season football game here, and playoff games happening. That's what I want to see.
No, absolutely. I'm there.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's funny that because I was reading something the other day and it talks about expectations and going into seasons and stuff, and the article mentioned that the Cowboys are known for having the I guess, well, I don't know what the right word is. I can't remember exactly how it's phrased, but the expectation is like every year is like they're going to the Super Bowl.
It's always our year.
Yeah. And if they don't, it's somehow a bad season, and I get that everyone wants to win the Super Bowl, and obviously that would be great, but it's not necessarily Super Bowl or bust. but they do need to win some playoff games.
They need to start moving in that direction. It's like, and I want to go to commercial because we got no one half the battle, and we still got to go to the movies. Is that it's like when Giannis was asked, was this season a failure? And because they didn't win the championship, and he was all like, no, there's only one champion. Was every year that Michael Jordan didn't win a world championship a failure? You can come up short, but not look at it as a failure. And so that's what we want to see. Dak, happy birthday. Stay healthy, less interceptions, and go be a winner. When we come back, we're going to the movies.
What is y'all's expectation for the year? Like 3 playoff wins? Like, what is it? Because last year you said they would win 2 playoff games, right? And we said they wouldn't. So what is it this year?
Well,
I was going to try to ask you on air, but then we went to commercial.
What we talked about last year, we had an idea for no second battle, and I was like ready to go with that, and then it was I lost it. I know we talked about it. And now I'm completely drawing a blank. I didn't make notes, but I usually do it with my notes. He's on the way here today, I was thinking about that, and I was like,
I'm so bad. I have a radio notes folder for my back questions.
well, I do it on my phone too.
I forget. As soon as I think about it, I have
all
to
of
put
them
it in
that I
there.
had in there I've already done. But how can I talk about something?
Today?
No, it was last week.
Oh, okay.
Let me look and see if you said something.
No, because I talked to you when I got from Molly.
Yeah.
Well, it was last Tuesday. Or did I text it to you?
I think it was last week.
Because this Tuesday you were gone. Jessica texted me and asked if we were coming again.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we did talk about karaoke and performing stage names, but it was something about it had something to do with turning or waving somebody in. Oh, I mentioned about I was looking to see if I got a wave for letting that person cut in or go or something. I don't know if that's what you were talking about.
I think that was it, right?
Do we think movies is going to be long enough to talk about it?
Oh, we only have 40 minutes
I
left.
mean, I feel like, yeah, we can.
Well, no, I'm saying, do we need to merge those two? Because what we're going to call the last segment is walking into the weekend. What are you doing this weekend? Where are you
Well, we
going?
probably do. We only have time for one segment and 5 minutes after that. I don't even think that's 4 or 5 minutes.
I mean, you can transition from knowing it's not allowed to now. Do you want to know which Hodge Pack? What are we called? Members? Movies? I don't really know.
We need to think of that because we don't want to be Packers.
Yeah, but like, what are we? Because I was gonna the other day when I was posting, I had to like reword it because I didn't know what to call us.
Well, I don't know.
Hodge Packers.
Not
I will
only are we-
not be associated as a Packer.
No.
Y'all know how I feel.
I'll see you on next week.
It's because we don't like the Green Bay Packers.
That's right. I was very Barbie-esque last week, and it was great. Did you see my Lindy Barbie post?
Yes, I did.
I was a fan of that. I was like, I thought of something clever. Imagine that.
Leanne told me.
I even had a hand. I was like,
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack as we're rolling along in our 8 o'clock hour. Again, happy birthday to Dak Prescott tomorrow. Hope he has a great day. Stay healthy, no interceptions, and win some playoff games. As we get closer to football season and all that, we'll start doing our our predictions. We'll start doing our breakdown of the Dallas Cowboys. And again, we are part of the Dallas Cowboy Radio Network. But now it is time for Go for it, Josh.
All right. Glad to be here with y'all this morning. It's good to be back. I'm still technically on vacation. Was in Ruidoso from Saturday till yesterday, but I took the day off just because I wanted to take the whole week off. So
it'd be hard to come back just to work one day.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like it'd be pointless. I'd be very, very hard pressed to concentrate on doing anything. So I took the day off. And I know there's been a lot of talk about movies, and we've talked about, obviously there's some movies out there that someone may or may not have been forced to watch. We'll talk about that later. But this is one of those things that all of the recent push of movies and things has led me to have some kind of nostalgic thoughts about going to the movies. And so I think that today's PSA is, I didn't walk uphill to school both ways as a child, but this is one of those things that makes me feel really old. When talking about, the movies are kind of a thing again, and you had mentioned that. Obviously, when we were younger, in our junior high school, time frame of life, we're all basically in that same, window.
I was in
You're in the window. Don't try to back out.
I'm backing out.
Going to the movies was obviously a big thing because of multiple reasons, but home theaters were not really as prominent as they are now. Like a 27, 36-inch TV was considered a big TV, and that was like what was in the living room at home, tube TV, maybe 36 inches, if your parents splurged a bit. And one of your friends had a big screen TV that was like you were in awe of. It was a giant thing that was like
you had to have 27 people to move it.
Yes, if you wanted to move it across the room, you had to call in your neighbors to come help. So things have changed. Obviously, now you can watch movies very quickly after they're released. You can buy them on Amazon, or something gets released to one of the other networks, and you can do your I guess what do they call that, video on demand. I went completely blank, but I feel like kids these days, like I said, I didn't walk to school both ways, and I never walked to school in the snow. But kids these days don't know what I feel like they're
don't
missing.
Have appreciation
They're missing
of the movie.
that like excitement of this movie's coming out, and you see the previews for the things that are coming out when you go to the the other movie.
And the thing about movies is that you mentioned kids don't appreciate it, and our group and older miss that.
Right.
Like we and I mentioned in our notes that movies are back, or people are going to the movies is back because Maverick came out, because there was a period during COVID where people were making these movies, and they literally, because what was funny is if you had a movie that went straight to Blockbuster or straight to video, it was a terrible movie.
Right.
Because there was a reason it didn't make the big picture.
Yes.
So, but when that started going straight to video or straight to demand and all that, it changed everything, and people liked it. It was the same thing with church. When church went online, people stopped going because you could go to church when it was convenient. You didn't have to get up. You didn't have to get dressed. You didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to go on Sunday. You could watch your church service on Tuesday at the office or whatever.
Right.
So it hurt it. So I agree with you. This whole movie thing being back, we went and saw Sound of Freedom the other day with our
movie.
church in Stanford. Amazing theater in Stanford. But my thing about movies that we took just was so great was it was the popcorn, it was the Coke, in the previews, and you always would get mad if you missed the previews. Like you were more mad of missing the previews than whatever the movie you were seeing.
And now people are on their phones during the preview. When I went and watched Sound of Freedom the other day, a lot of younger college age in there, all on their phone. And I'm like, I'm still interested in all of the previews.
Well, the previews are what that's what you knew about what was coming out in the future. It was
That's
something.
why it's called
It was
preview.
something that might
Yeah.
be 6 months away from being released, and you'd watch it. It would be so exciting. You're like, man, I gotta watch that. And then it would say like,
Yes.
coming December 2023. You're like, God, coming! I
Yeah.
gotta wait that
Well,
long.
and,
you
and
know?
that was the thing. The 2 times the movies came out throughout the year, but the 2 prime time for the new movie to come out was summer and Christmas.
Right.
Yes.
This Christmas. This fall didn't have the best ring to it, but this summer and Christmas, you wanted to go. Now, I will tell you, and nobody's going to change this, and I'm not trying to hijack the
You've
segment,
already done it.
He
It's fine.
has.
but I will tell you, and nobody's going to go, they can't change it. But you know what I miss is just the traditional, and I'm a Dr. Pepper guy, you know that. But the movie Coke is fantastic. But these red machines have ruined that. You want a PSA, knowing half the battle? Because I still think all those cartridges are in there. I think some of my Dr. Pepper and Coke passes along the Sprite way, and next thing you know, there's just
Yeah, it doesn't taste quite
it
right.
doesn't the
Yeah,
same.
it's
Yeah.
not the
And-
same.
But so anyway,
I almost hit the wrong button.
show's over.
Bye.
But anyway, so my PSA is to everyone that's, I would say, under the age of 30 at least, that has missed the true heyday of the movies, where it was you planned your weekend around going to see this next big release, and you'd stand in line, which I hate standing in line, and then obviously you wanted to get there early enough because you couldn't reserve seats and have your own seat.
That has been
Yeah.
a game changer.
That is, and I'm here for that.
Well,
I love it.
but I mean,
and
I
some
get
of them
it.
vibrate.
I get it. It's that step up.
The
Like,
chairs.
oh yeah, the chairs are there. There's
Yeah,
like
they
the
like
sound,
move.
and
Yes.
it's
It's a
incredible.
whole thing.
But that old school, you don't want to get there too late because you're stuck sitting on the front row looking straight up.
Like you're mad that you don't even want to
But
stay.
you
Yeah,
still
but-
would if you really
Oh, well,
wanted
because
to
you
see
already
it.
bought your ticket for
Right.
$6.50 and you can't get
Right.
your money
Well,
back.
and you remember there was times where there would be a Wednesday night or a Thursday night showing at midnight because it
Yeah,
technically
it-
came
yeah,
out on
it-
Friday,
Yeah.
and you wanted to be there for that. And I'm glad part of that old normal is coming back.
And it
Yeah.
is kind of coming back, but there's still so many changes that I feel like you have missed that little bit of nostalgia that was going to the movies and being excited about it. And the other thing, knowing as has changed completely with the video on demand is, used to, if you were going to go see a movie that came out, say like you wanted to see Jurassic Park, and you went to the theater and you saw it, or if you somehow missed it before they stopped playing at the theater, it was going to be months before it was at Blockbuster.
Yes.
And so
Took forever.
that whole process made you had to get excited, you had to go to the movies, and if you didn't see it at the movies, you're waiting a long time. And now it's just like, oh no, I can go to the movies maybe, or I can wait a few months and maybe a few weeks and
people,
watch it
people
online.
have said that. We had a guy at church, and some of those folks didn't want to drive to Stanford, didn't want to stay out or whatever, and they were like, I'll wait when it comes out. And knowing that you don't have to wait long is some comfort.
Oh yeah.
But I will say one of the things, and we can kind of transition into your post this past week, there have finally been movies that have drawn people to want to go. Because you're right, the new Jurassic Park would always be one, the new Pirates of the Caribbean, which I've still never seen any of the Pirates of the Caribbean. I need to probably do that.
Oh yeah,
But
Star Wars obviously.
Those
all
were
that.
new things that would come out. And really, I guess, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong on Facebook or Twitter, that Maverick kind of did that.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Maverick brought that
Such
back
a good
out, the
movie.
anticipation of what we'd all heard that this movie was coming out, that now you've got Sound of Freedom and Barbie for 2 totally different reasons. But you've got, there's people dressing up in movie theaters and people wrapping around and creating displays and all this stuff for Barbie, which I've not seen.
Or has.
Or has he?
I've not seen. The last movie I saw was Sound of Freedom.
Oh, you just said that.
It was good.
It was good. It was intense.
So,
And Maverick is what brought me back to the movie theater for the
Me too.
first time in a long time. It's something that it's still difficult because of all the aforementioned reasons to want to go to a movie, especially if you have children that you have to find childcare for. It's like you only have a limited, opportunity to do those things, so you really have to slim down what makes the cut as far as like, all right, I'm gonna get a babysitter / see if my parents can watch the kids, all of those things.
I'm always available.
And okay,
You can drop off the
well, that
trio.
y'all will have fun.
Yes, and Collins and Molly can play.
Just-
Yes.
I'm not even gonna warn you. They're just gonna ring your doorbell. I'm
They're
gonna drive
gonna
off.
show up. Then they're gonna go straight to Cover Creek.
Yeah, like so. But I mean, so you have limited opportunities. But that nostalgia was obviously one of those things. It was part of my growing up, going to the movies
Yes.
and being excited about it. And so you have that little flashback, and so remember, kids, it wasn't always this easy. And going to the movies used to be a big deal.
That is a true story. So, Misty, you popped into, we got some time, you popped into a movie theater outside of. So, have you seen Barbie?
I have not seen Barbie. I know everyone thought because I was dressed in hot pink last week. I just love pink. Pink is my favorite color. There's even a song out there that says that. Pink is my favorite color, and so several people last Friday on the show, off the show, were like, "Oh, you must be going to Barbie. You dress like Barbie or whatever." I'm like, "Thank you for the compliment. I do not look like Barbie, but I appreciate that." But I did not go see Barbie. We all talked about it. Now, Josh, I think the listeners really want to know if Josh has gone to see Barbie.
Well, I really don't want to disclose that because that's my own personal my own personal space.
Is there a chance that we can get a review next Friday?
Oh well, I mean, I'll give you a review. It'll be a very heartfelt review.
Well, we're gonna come back with a heartfelt review of what we have going on this weekend when we come back. But knowing is half the battle, and some of y'all are disappointed about Barbie. But you know what I mean?
I do like watching a movie though. Sometimes, like, I love dinner and a movie is like, for me, it's the number one best date.
Mhm.
Like when I want to go on a date with Clay, I'm like, let's go dinner and a movie. I love that. But sometimes I'm like, man, I really like watching like a new movie at home, like in my jams, under my blanket, in my recliner, or eating, or we just maybe picked up takeout.
Mhm.
So I like going more than just staying at home, but there are times where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so nice to be able to watch a brand new movie just at the house. So pros and cons.
I have a hard time, and this is in general. There's a lot of movies and TV shows that I would like to watch, and I truly have a hard time making time to do so because it's always most movies and shows are not child appropriate.
Right.
So you have to wait until the kids are in bed, so that makes a limited time frame. And then if there's a movie that Leanne and I both want to watch, if we sit at the house to watch a movie, she will be asleep within 15 minutes.
That's normally me.
I have heard that like in every couple, I feel like there's like one that, yeah.
So it's like, all right, let's watch this movie, and then, all right, let's get ready. We'll even pop some popcorn,
Yes.
and then, like, I'm just like, oh man, this is great. And I look over, she's asleep. I'm like, awesome.
Yeah, you're like, oh,
Right.
yeah.
And then, so
And we
if
both
I
do
wait,
pretty good.
if I wait for her to like go to sleep and then try to watch something, which I do that sometimes too, I got 30, 45 minutes before I want to go to bed.
Right.
So then it's just like I don't ever get to finish. So I'm always
Yeah.
watching movies in segments, and then that bothers me.
Yeah. We are movie.
But I'm a sports on TV, but I'm usually like doing other things.
Yes.
Like Mission Impossible's
Like
coming
it's
out
in
with
the
another
back,
one.
like it's in the background. Yeah.
Yeah.
We always have, especially like if we're grilling or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Outside the TV's going, inside.
If I'm
kinda
doing
like
yard
the
work
outside.
or
Yes.
like
Something's
working on
always
something in the
on.
garage, I got TVs playing ball games, but
Yes.
I'm doing something else.
Yes,
You know,
same.
and it's rare, and I can't do that with anything but sports.
Yeah.
Like if there's a show that I want to watch, I have to sit down
Me
and
too.
watch it.
I have to be like, I gotta know what's going on. Like right now we're watching Suits, and we just never watched it when it first came out. And now that it's on Netflix,
fantastic.
yeah, I started watching it by myself, and then Clay came in and he was like, "What are you watching?" And I told him, and he was just kind of playing on his phone but listening. And then now he's like, "Okay, I really like this show." So now it's kind of
There's
become
several shows
our
that
new shows.
Leanne has watched, and I'm just like, oh,
Brought
whatever.
you into,
Yeah, and I will just sit there and like play a game on my
Yes,
phone,
that's what Clay
read
does.
something,
Yep.
and then eventually I'm like,
You're
I'm
hooked.
following enough that like, okay, now I'm watching this.
Or he'll ask me, "Well, okay, what is Donna's story?"
Yeah, I have
and
these
I'm like,
backstories for stuff that I
"You're
did.
either gonna be in or out." I'm like, "I need
That's
you to
right.
get
I like to
on
get some
or off."
backstory.
Yeah.
Virgin River was one of those that
Oh,
Leanne
yeah.
watched, and I just was like, this is good.
Yes,
and then like eventually it was like, okay, I gotta watch this.
Yes, I watch Virgin River too. And Suits. I've been watching a lot of documentaries. Like I just finished watching The Betrayal on Hulu, and then I'm now watching Ashley Madison on Hulu. Which, do y'all remember what Ashley Madison was? It was that website that
Cheating?
yes,
Yeah.
for married people.
I remember seeing that.
So I'm watching the documentary on that right now. Crazy. So we have to reiterate that none of us went and watched Barbie. Surely they got that. But
Yeah.
Well, welcome back to the Hodge Pack, to sports life and everything in between. That he wasn't real sure what just came out.
What?
What? Hey, but we're glad that you're with us again. As you can tell, none of us have seen Barbie yet. One's only dressed like it. One's only act like it. I don't know.
I didn't really act like it. I watched the trailer.
Oh,
did
yeah.
you just call him Ken?
I'm
Negative.
very, very beta. so I
Country,
said that.
country
Yeah.
Ken.
Yeah, big country can.
I love
That
it.
could be your sports drink. Anyway, hey, we want to thank everybody for tuning in again. Don't forget to download, subscribe, rate, review the podcast. Check out the YouTube channel as well. And so, as we start walking into the weekend, and you mentioned the other movie, just the whole everything about the movies, the popcorn, what, do you have a go-to candy?
Bunch of Crunch.
Bunch of crunch. I don't
Every
even know what that is.
time.
I don't even know what that
Do y'all
is.
know what it is? It's
No,
like
I
a
don't know
Nestle.
what Bunch of Crunch is.
Oh my gosh, you're not living. So it's a Nestle's Crunch bar, like in
Without
little
the chocolate?
clusters. They're like in little clusters.
I like the
Covered in
milk dud.
chocolate?
Yes.
I'm a milk dud fan.
Oh my gosh, no. That gets all in my teeth.
Oh,
I cannot with the duds.
Yeah, I like Whoppers. I think that's one of my.
A very underappreciated candy.
Yeah.
I'm also not a Whopper fan.
But I don't ever buy candy though when I go to the movie. It's popcorn, and
And butter
What's
it up.
yeah.
What's the weirdest food you've ever snuck into a movie theater?
Oh,
Oh, I have brought in full out wiener schnitzel. Like hot dogs in my purse.
she flipped out the wiener right there.
I did. The wiener came out. I'm not even kidding. Clay and I both
So
had
wiener
wiener
schnitzel,
schnitzel.
huh? Yeah.
Yeah, tacos. I brought Taco Bell, wiener schnitzel, Chick-fil-A. I've had all the foods.
Well, I've always thought that
but
that
the
would,
wiener schnitzel was
but
my
like
favorite.
a small food court type thing,
Well, now they have those. I mean, they
like
have
Alamo Draft
bars
House and all
stuff
that.
are,
Yeah.
Me, I would love an Alamo Draft
But-
House here.
But I've never understood that. Like if you're gonna like eat or have a full meal / some beverages when you're at the movie theater, like
Just stay home.
yeah, I mean, well, that's just you're gonna have to get up to go. Like, oh, I need another drink. Get up and go back there. Like you're walking through the movie. I don't know how it works. I've never
They
done it.
don't. They come to you. It's literally you're sitting there and you have your tray.
But then I think that like you have
is
a few
distracting.
drinks and then you got to go to the bathroom. And it's
it can
like,
be distracting, but
which is always
it's
the,
cool.
like always one of those things. You get your Dr Pepper to start, and I'm very bad at like just drinking it way too fast. And then by the end of the movie, you're a little squirmy in your seat because you drink too much Dr Pepper, but you want to finish the movie.
Right.
So I just kind of I don't know. That doesn't seem to be my jam, but I've never tried it out.
I've had Bueno stuff in there before. Yeah. So walking into the weekend, what do you got planned?
Well, I got the day off today. Got a pretty good day planned. We'll see what I'll get.
Don't know if I have enough time.
He's like,
Maybe
not
a little-
gonna,
maybe-
not gonna
I'm
disclose
gonna-
it.
Maybe Home Depot. Don't know. Bed Bath & Beyond. You can't go to Bed Bath &
Maybe he's
Beyond
gonna
anymore.
go eat lunch at Wiener World.
Wiener World. I think we're
so-
going to
Wiener
we're gonna go
Schnitzel?
swimming.
Y'all never heard
I'm
it called that?
I brought the Bronco to town. Gonna
I
go
saw
wash it.
that.
Nice.
It's really dirty,
There you go.
but
What do you got this weekend?
I am going to the lake house.
Nice. Lake house.
Yep.
I've got an event tonight, the Taylor County Livestock Association Farm Table Dinner. I'll be emceeing that tonight. And so that'll be fun. Hey, if you're near or you hear it on our station, Mark Chestnut's going to be playing in Gale, Texas tomorrow if you need something to do. But check out Lotto, Mulligan's, Tootsie Live. Find some place with some live music. Have a great meal. Have a great weekend. Next week, more Hodge Pack high school football will be underway. Don't forget, head to West Texas Performance Academy's Facebook page if you or yours want to have a rugby career. Appreciate everybody being here. We'll see you next week with more Hodge Pack, Sports Life, and everything in between.
Peace.
It's your week.